prayer requests tonight? Remember this. Anyone else? No? All right. Do remember that there is a sign-up list for the Thanksgiving lunch that will be on the 23rd. On the 30th, we will have our Youth Sunday and now a baptism. So keep that in mind. And then the week of Thanksgiving, which would be the 26th, that Wednesday, the 26th, we will not have midweek service. And then, as Ms. Sarah did announce this morning, December 6th is the parade that we'll be in. I'm sure as we get closer, she'll announce what days we'll work on the float and all that jazz. So just keep those things in mind. If there is no other announcements, prayer requests, Brother Terry, you mind leading us in prayer? All right. Remember last time that we talked on Sunday night, we started looking at this new characteristic of Christ, forgiving like Christ. And we'll look at verses, Ephesians chapter 4, verses 31 and 32. You don't have to stand. I'm going to read them really quick. Ephesians chapter 4. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 31 and 32. There they are. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath, anger, clamor, evil speaking be put away with all malice. And be kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. It doesn't do it on you. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Anyway, we talked last time and we looked at the problems in Christian living, and we talked about some of these characteristics or these actions, evil actions that Paul is saying, make sure they're not in your life, children of God. He's writing this letter to believers. We're not talking about the way those other lost people act. He's talking about the way we act or should act. This is not a laundry list of attributes you want. Bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, evil speaking. But unfortunately, sometimes that is exactly what fills God's people, the people of God's lives. And I made this statement last time, and I know you agreed with me. Sometimes the most hurtful place to find yourself in is the Lord's church. And that's not because of the Lord. And it's not because he stands for evil things, but it's because the Lord's church is filled with people. And whether you are saved or lost, you still have that propensity, that nature to do evil things. The lost people have an excuse. They're lost. But we don't. Why? Because when we were saved, the Spirit of God indwells us, and now we have the freedom. Paul writes in Galatians, why would you want to put the shackles back on? We have been set free. We have the Spirit that leads us and guides us and shows us. We have the choice to do what's right. And so bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, evil speaking, malice, they don't have to be in our life if we don't want them to. I said this Wednesday night, I'm going to say it again, and it's going to irk my kids. But I used to always tell them, and I used to always tell them when I was getting on to them, you choose your behavior. You choose how you're going to act. And listen, I don't know what it's like to be a deacon. Well, I guess I was a deacon's kid. A little older years, so that don't even work. But being a PK, being a preacher's kid is tough. I get it. A lot of pressure, a lot of eyes on you. Sometimes people just inherit the right to think that they're your mom and dad too because you go to their church, which I've always told church members, you see my kid doing something wrong, you go say something to him. That happened to me one time in my first church. I don't remember what I was doing, but I had a church member come up to me and say, Nathan was using the restroom on the playground. I was like, well, that's awkward. Anyway, but I used to always tell them, you choose. We have the ability to choose whether we're going to do right or do wrong. That is not limited to children. That is all of us. Not only is that hard for preachers' kids, but having to. It's just a lot of pressure, right? And because of that, we sometimes can sometimes be overwhelmed by that pressure, whether you're a preacher's kid or just deacon's kid or a deacon, Sunday school. Just remember, we can allow the pressure on the outside to consume us, where it's really easy to let old self have control. And it can be easy to fall into the trap saying that's not fair. It's not fair, God. We got all these pressures. We got all these things. But we have to remember the game we are playing. Texans won today, barely. They beat a team that only got one win, but hey, they almost got beat by them. But listen, a win is a win. We're not playing a game for points and whatever. We are playing the game for souls. The grand scheme of things, I don't get anything if the Texans win. Except bragging rights. But it doesn't really benefit me, does it? But the soul of eternity, that's a different story. Because if you allow God to use you, you have the ability to have a hand in leading somebody to Christ. Then they have an eternity. Brother Terry asked about that this morning. That's a long time. How long is that? I don't know. It's an eternity. Eternity with Jesus. And we don't do it for this, but I promise you, God will reward you for that. I love the verse that says that for one soul who turns to Christ, heaven erupts. accomplishment we can have. And sometimes the greatest hindrance is just our attitude. The way we approach things, the way we allow things to make us approach things. And listen, Satan is working overtime to get that bitterness, that wrath, that anger, that clamor, that malice out of you. He not out of you, but in you. He is working overtime to bring that out, to flesh that out, to have that be the characteristic that you express. Because I don't remember the last time I heard somebody being bitter win somebody to Jesus. Or somebody who was angry win somebody to Jesus. No, it's the opposite. You done pushed them away from Jesus. How many times have you tried to witness or you tried to do something and people throw it in your face what someone else has done who represented God? That's not you, but we have to take ownership of it. So therefore, not only can we not act in that way if we want to win souls for Christ, we have to work double time to win those who have been hurt, burned, and done wrong by those who represent God. I was supposed to just re-enter. Oh, I forgot to start that. Oops. That was just a reminder what we talked about. Promotion of the Christian living. Look at verse 32. Paul says this isn't the way you are to act, should act. Now this is what you should do. Verse 32. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. How you want to forgive? As you feel that you should forgive? No. Even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. Be ye. It's hard for me to say ye and thou. It's ingrained in me in seminary that my language teacher told me that they didn't talk like that. It's Brother Fitzgerald's fault. And you can't say nothing because he's with the Lord now. Paul says, be you. To be it is to not just act something out, but it's to act what is inside of you. To be tender-hearted is to have a tender heart. To be kind to one another is to be kind on the inside. Listen, we can't peddle something that we don't truly buy into. I told you about that saying we had at the phone company, and then I heard a better saying that we used to say, fake it till you make it at the phone company. If you don't know what's wrong, just act like you know what's wrong and be convincing at it. But then I heard it said, fake it till you feel it. And I really like that. Because if we're not forgiving, people will know that. If we're not kind to one another, people will see that. But what did Mama always tell us? The best way to win over a bully or whatever, the bitterness is with sugar or something like that. What was that saying, Jamie? You don't even know. I don't know. I butchered that something. Something with sugar. I know it has sugar. What's it? There you go. I knew it had something to do. The easiest way, the best way, the most effective way to bring someone to Christ is by loving them and showing them that this is not just something I'm saying, it is something that has happened to me. Show them what forgiveness is like by acting outside of what they are used to. treat them in a way that goes beyond what comes natural to man. Show them that this Jesus thing is worth looking into because it has changed this person, so maybe it might change me as well. Forgiveness. Man, that is a tough one, though, isn't it? Forgiveness is the act of granting favor to another, graciously pardoning a wrong. Man, that sounds a lot easier than it is. Especially when it's you that's been offended. Now, I expect Jamie to forgive me if I ask for it. Shouldn't I be willing to forgive if it's the other way around? The point is this. For Paul to say, be ye, to give that command, he is saying that it's something that's not easy. It's something that you are not just going to acquire in the moment. It's going to be something that you have to persistently pursue. Something that you have to constantly ask God to give me the grace to do, the strength to do. Help me overcome myself and overcome my feelings. Because if you let feelings control you, you're not going to be very forgiving. You know what Jesus did for us? Jesus forgave us even if we never would ask for it. Even if we never came to him and say, I understand I wronged you. God, forgive me for doing it. He forgave us anyway. How do we know that? He went to the cross beforehand. He put earnest money up. He did the act without anything on our part. Now, we have to be mindful of that, and we have to gravitate to that. We have to fill our mind with that. So not only do we receive it, but that we are changed by it, and we are molded by it, and that we can share that. Forgiving somebody, man, that can break through barriers. That can break calloused hearts. It can open doors and forums for conversations to be had. Verse 32 also talks about a pattern for Christian living. I'm going to wrap this up really quick. The greatest example of how to live came in the personage of Jesus Christ. God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. What kind of example did Jesus give his people to follow? He was oppressed, afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. Isaiah 53:7. That was speaking of Christ. As he endured that mock trial, as he was led. Can you just imagine? Jesus allowed himself to be beat. He led him, and Jesus is all-knowing. Just because he was wearing the flesh of humanity, that did not void his divine nature. He knew every step of the way what he was facing. He didn't do it to prove a point. He didn't do it to earn some credit with you. We do that sometimes. I know I do that sometimes. I'll do things that I know Jamie likes to get some points. Because in the back of my mind, I know I've got something I want. something I want to buy or something. So if I get some credit, then I can, do a little exchange in there. Even while we were yet an enemy of God, Christ died for us. No credit in mind. Man, that's the pattern. And I know I'm not, I don't think I'm saying anything that is unknown to you or foreign to you. I believe you all have a heart to serve. But I know we are not all that there is in the family of God. And I say this not because I want to bolster our numbers, whether they come to our church or they're in a sister church or whatever. God's people need to start acting like God's people because time is running out. And heaven is not based upon where your membership is or if they come to Corsicana or not. We are in the business of sharing the way to eternity with God, not necessarily will you come be a church member. The pattern of Christian living is loving people that are unlovable, forgiving people that won't ask for forgiveness, sharing truth with people who tell you they don't want the truth. Why? Because that's exactly what Jesus did for you. Yes, forgiveness is difficult. Yes, being kind, not being kind to you is not difficult, but the context is being kind to those that you are witnessing to because they're lost. Those people ain't always kind to you. And those people are not always easy to be kind to. But guys, I'm telling you, that moment that you see that light come on and you see that change, it's worth it. It's worth seeing children get excited. It's worth it's worth it. Just simply be a face of Christ to the lost. Any thoughts before we go to the Lord in prayer?